Hey guys, I'm FatBuddyCat, and tonight we're going to prepare to fill the void. Alright guys, and by void I mean this missing engine plate on our frame. Okay? We're going to do something custom, so we're going to need a template. In order to do that, I'm going to need to cut off a square of cardboard, roughly the same size as this. Alright, get a tape measure, try to do this one hand. Okay, our furthest point back, I'm going to say, is probably going to be, we're going to keep it super big. Right there, we're like 10 inches to the outside. Alright, so a foot will give me plenty. Alright, trying to overhang it about the same. Now if we look this way, well, that 12-inch mark, my thumb was just there, so I'm going to go with a 12 by 12, guys. Looks like I'll have to use this piece here. I'm going to mark that out and cut it. Okay, to do this, I'm just using a big 12 tape measure, pair of whisk scissors, and a marker. My first cut is going to be right here. That'll give me a straight edge. Alright, just so I don't rob you from the full experience. Anybody else like that noise? It's like cutting construction paper. Very satisfying. Okay, so I have my first line cut off right there. Something was already cut off of this side, so that edge is not square. This edge is square, but there's a fold there. So I'm going to use my square and a tape measure. I'm going to make two 12-inch lines, connect the top, then cut out my square. There, you can either watch me or the mini bike. So I take my tape measure. I'm just gonna mark the end, measure 1 foot. I'm gonna take my square. That's 12 inches. Take the other way. Stop at the top. And then connect my dots. There's a square. Alright guys, now that we have a square piece, I'm going to be checking my overhangs, alright, and trying to somewhat center this thing, just so that it's square the way I want it to sit, okay, once the piece is cut. I'm going to take my marker, and I'm going to go along the bottom, okay, and I'm just going to scribe a line onto the cardboard next to the frame. We're looking for a little bit of overhang, okay? So I'll probably hold the marker against it like that and then scribe my line up. That way it's the same on both sides. Alright, well, I might as well be, Alright guys, I might as well be thorough. Check it out. Alright, you see how the line is slightly away from the frame? Alright. That's what we want. We want that overhang. So, I had to take the bike off the bucket to do this. Yeah, got away from me a little there. Oh boy. Okay, so there's my lines. Do I go a little bit longer? I think I do. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my tape measure, and it looks like I have about, yeah, I got a 1/2 inch. Okay, I have a 1/2 inch up here from this line to the corner of my piece of cardboard, alright? So I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from here, and I'll connect those dots, and I'll cut a line there. And then I'll repeat it over here. That way we're adding a 1/2 inch to this. And then we should have like something close to 3/4 of an inch of overhang afterwards. Let's find out. There you go. In case you didn't know what I was talking about. That's the original line. Those are the new lines. 1/2 inch bigger, give or take. We're just going to cut right on the line with our scissors. Okay, so we may have been a little liberal on the overhang. One side is not like the other, not quite. I mean, they're like slightly different angles. So we're going to take a little bit off of each side. Probably like 1/4 inch. You know what? I think we're just going to take it off right where the original lines were. Oh well, live and learn, guys. Alright, that looks a whole lot cleaner. Now this thing does look a little big, right? But it's going to serve a few purposes, so just bear with me. And remember, we're also going to be taking this bracket off once this is welded on. So it won't look quite as clustered. And when you have these square edges out here, and you don't have this soft curve and this return angle here, it'll look really clean and nice. This overhang, guys, that's going to come into play for the welding. Big thanks to Zach's Pro Mod. I always hit him up when I'm trying something new and I have a question, and he always gets back to me and gives me a little bit of insight. So thanks a lot, Zach. This is going to be really cool, guys. We're going to have all kinds of room on this thing for activities. So now that we have that somewhat figured out, we're going to put it in a safe place, and we're going to be after the seat next. You know, once we get down to it, we're going to be welding. We'll have this thing flipped upside down. We don't need any slag falling on our seat. I just have 3 10mm bolts holding line on because I already did the welded brackets. Alright, not too bad. Those are on there with 7018. They're not going anywhere soon. This is the stock bracket here and here. Alright, and I just left those for structural integrity. So this works really, really well. I haven't had any issues with it. So at this point, we'll just prep it for paint. Guess we might as well start prepping the whole bike. We're not really going to be touching the fork much. We're just going to be after the frame. And I'll probably do something different around my brake area. Well, we'll take it off. See what happens when we get there. Actually, guys, I think, yeah, I'm taking this back wheel off anyways to change this sprocket out. So I'm just going to take the wheel off and we're going to remove the hydraulic brake. And I'm just going to be careful not to let the lever close. And we'll get it off the handlebars and everything and put it aside. Alright, just went ahead and grabbed a weight before I pulled my axle off, because at this point, if we pull the back wheel off, the bike's going to tip forward. If we pull the front fork off, oh yeah, we have to do that now too, by the way, then the bike will tip backwards. So we're going to cheat the system. Okay, I have my back wheel off. I have my axle safely over there with my spacers, and to make sure my brake lever doesn't get pressed, I removed it. It's just a 10mm nut and a 10mm bolt. I'm going to put that back through the hole on this, put that aside, probably over there with my axle. Next, I'll take off the caliper. Some of you might have noticed I'm just using a cable cuff, alright, to hold my brake line out of the way. And I put my hardware back into this thing, okay? My 2 washers for my spacer and my bolt, alright? And the next thing I'm going to do is carefully remove my reservoir, pull everything back, and I'll set it aside over here in our nice safe place. A bright orange chair. That way you don't trip over it. I wish I had caught that one on camera, guys. If you're careful when you do this, you can remove the whole thing, right? You pick it up off the washers. The washers are still sitting there. Then you just pick up your washers, put them on with a nut. That way, you can put it aside. It stays together. Okay, now to take off the fork, all we need to do is remove the stem bolt. Alright, there's a bolt that goes down through with a nut on the bottom. And we're just going to loosen the crown bolts slightly so that we get a little bit of play. It'll come right off. Then when we put it back on, it'll slide on. We'll put our crown bolt in, tighten these down, and then tighten our bolt. Well, lo and behold, on this one, I actually spaced my stem bolt out with some washers, so it just slid right off. But we have a fork, wheel, tire, whole front assembly in one piece. We'll just remember that we have those. Put them over there with our nice, neat stack of parts. Alright, that goes out in the shed, so that'll go with the frame next. Guys, we're going to prep this thing. We'll grab some rough sandpaper and get after it. Alright, frame's outside, sandpaper in hand. Another thing that I noticed is on this Doodlebug, this one has a nice little round ear. And on the other side, you can see where I cut it off. This was a big one over here, alright? We're going to take the angle grinder at some point during this process and try to round that out. This excess cyborg meat really is just hanging out up there. And I assure you, these things are welded very strong from the factory. If we break these guys, we're going a different route. But for now, I'm going to leave them alone. Well, you know, sort of. Alright, so the sandpaper lasted about 1 minute and 36 seconds. I have a new sanding wheel. on my 4.5-inch angle grinder. Wear goggles for this. We're going in. Alright, now we can hit it with the sandpapers. I'm going to bring this thing back inside. Alright, we got a small pile of sandpaper. And this is our result, guys. Okay, this thing's pretty smooth as is. But we still got a little bit of work to do. This lobe down here still has to get cut off and rounded out to match that one. You know, obviously we'll be putting our custom engine plate in. Okay, and once that's welded in, we cut that right out of there. Wham bam bla jam, guys. You know what it is. It's a work in progress. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll go get that piece of metal in the morning. Have a good night. I'll catch you on the next one.